Red Bull's has big concerns as technical leaders voice their concerns. More news on Mercedes' future lineup as Kimi's announcement is expected soon, and Aston Martin is ready to challenge the top teams. Do consider subbing to the channel. Now let's get straight into the latest F1 news. The Haas Formula One team has been making stunning performance strides in 2024 after Günther Steiner was dismissed from the outfit at the start of this season. But why? According to Ayao Komatsu, new Haas F1 team principal, the situation isn't the result of a better operating budget. It's just about using that budget more effectively. In an interview with Auto Motor und Sport, Haas team principal Ayao Komatsu refuted the claim that Haas's recent success is the result of an increased operating budget, something that Günther Steiner regularly pointed to as an explanation about the team's lack of performance. No extra money had to be spent, Komatsu said in the interview. All the parts we have produced have been within our planned budget. Gene has no problem investing in the team if we deliver performance in the end. Of course, we had to earn his trust and prove to him that we can improve with the resources we have. We had exactly the same budget last year. It's all about how you use that money and how you get people to work towards a common goal. This is in stark contrast to regular statements by Günther Steiner regarding the team's budget, which he expressed was not large enough to accommodate the necessary performance upgrades that Steiner believed would lead to success. Komatsu, however, seems to disagree with that statement. At the beginning of 2024, Komatsu refrained from making any big projections about Haas's performance, going so far as to predict that the VF24 would remain at the back of the field. Then, when the season kicked off, Haas seemed to have taken a massive leap forward. According to Komatsu, it's obvious what happened. The others simply messed up. To be honest, the car we started the season with was nothing special, so we had to assume that the others would do a better job with 3 times as many employees. Sauber then had problems with the pit stops, Williams with the chassis, Alpine with the further development and the weight. That set them back. We couldn't have expected that. Further, Komatsu credited an overhaul in the general structure of the team to improve communication and cooperation. There are now clear goals, a clear strategy, and fixed responsibilities, he said. Though Haas is by no means a front-running team just yet, it has made a much-needed leap forward in the championship, and it didn't need a bigger budget to make the magic happen. Zach Brown believes it's Sergio Perez who holds the key to the outcome of the 2024 championship battle as McLaren versus Red Bull looks set to run and run. Red Bull leads McLaren by just 42 points in the Constructors' Championship, a lead that has been continuously shrinking through the middle phase of the season as the competition has closed up on the Milton Keynes-based squad. A big problem for Red Bull so far this season has been the inconsistency of Sergio Perez's performances. While the Mexican had a great first quarter of the season to slot into a comfortable second place in the Drivers' Championship behind Max Verstappen, Perez has gone completely off the boil in recent races. 4 podiums in the first 5 races, his best place finish since his 4th place in Miami has been a trio of 7th places, most recently at the Belgian Grand Prix. While Verstappen has kept up his usual excellence, even if victories have eluded him in recent races as McLaren and Mercedes have risen to the forefront, the fact that Red Bull does not currently have 2 drivers scoring heavily is what McLaren CEO Zach Brown believes will make a huge difference in the final 10 races of this year. It's going to be tough, Brown said in an interview with the BBC, speaking about the prospects for McLaren to win their first title since 1998. I think it's going to come down to the last race. There's not much between the cars. It's going to come down to how does Sergio Perez perform. If he can perform as he's capable of performing, it's going to be a hard fight. If he continues to perform as he has this year, we have a pretty good chance because we have 2 drivers constantly performing at the front. McLaren, in contrast, have 2 drivers performing at their best, with both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri scoring their first Grand Prix wins this year, and both the British and Australian have been a constant threat for victories and podiums ever since the MCL38's first upgrades earlier this season. With McLaren closing the gap to the front, Brown said he hadn't quite expected the prospect of a championship win to come quite so soon. If I were to sit here and say I'm not surprised, that would be disingenuous, Brown said. Red Bull had such an advantage over everyone and Mercedes has been so dominant. I felt like we'd continue to close the gap. Did I think we would be here at the summer break, 1 race away from getting the lead? That race would have to be first and second and fastest lap, and do I think it's going to happen like that? No, But if we keep the same trajectory we've been on the last 6-7 races, we'll be where we need to be by the end of the year. I thought we might get where we are now by 2025. I didn't think we would be where we are now in 2024, but I'm not complaining. Oscar Piastri's manager Mark Webber said the McLaren driver knows actions speak louder than words as he discussed how his F1 future may play out. Just 36 races into his career, and Piastri is already being spoken of as a potential world champion, but Webber said the 23-year-old knows what he does on the racetrack is more important than what is said off it. As well as his impressive on-track performances, Piastri has been noted for his relaxed demeanor off it, something Webber said came naturally to him. It's been enjoyable working closely with him, Webber exclusively told PlanetF1.com. He's obviously a very special talent. He knows what's right for the future, to continue to unleash that talent. Potential is a word I hate. Potential is whatever potential is, but you need to make sure that you go out and he knows actions speak louder than words, and that's how he operates. So he's had a very, very special start to his career. There's so much experience on those first 2 or 3 rows, especially with just how sensitive the cars are now and how tight the times are, which is really a credit to him that he's been able to hang out there, week in, week out. Webber was speaking a few days before Piastri's first win in Hungary, and when asked if that debut victory was a matter of when, not if, he suggested it would be flippant to say so. I think it's very easy for people to just flippantly throw that out there, he said. But I think there's been a few opportunities already slipped through the fingers for lots of different reasons. But I mean a genuine one. Off-pole disappearing that has not happened yet. Obviously, Lando Norris knows that Miami, there was some fortune there. It's still tricky to get away. You've got to get everything right, as Max Verstappen is showing that, and Lewis Hamilton at Silverstone. When they're on the table, you've got to get everything right. Who knows? It might be this year, it might not be, because everything's got to be perfect to get the job done. Piastri is the latest Australian to do well in F1, an impressive feat considering the distance that separates the county from the traditional European home of the sport, and Webber said, love of motorsport in Australia goes back to one man. I think it goes back to Jack Brabham, Webber said. Jack Brabham was the original, he showed us the way in, and in more ways than one. But look, it's hard geographically, really. Really hard. And so when you get over here, you've got to make it. It's a long way home with your tail between your legs to go, so you want to make it work. We're talking about the drivers that have made it, but a lot haven't, and that's the thing. So our conversion is still a challenge for us. But the sport and Formula One, we have one of the best Grand Prix in the world. Australians love racing. They support Formula One, even though the time difference sometimes can be a challenge. But in terms of pound for pound, it's a country where we just love our Formula One. We're in safe hands for the future, obviously. Oscar is just starting his career out, which is awesome, but yeah, Daniel Ricciardo and I, and, AJ Allen Jones. So there's not many guys that have won at that level. So hopefully in the future, we can continue to contribute to the sport. With Mercedes reportedly closing in on confirming Kimi Antonelli as Lewis Hamilton's F1 2025 replacement, the teenager recalled a crucial talk with team boss Toto Wolff, which restored his confidence. Hamilton was confirmed as a Ferrari driver from next season before the F1 2024 action got underway, and not long after that, Mercedes' 17-year-old protege Antonelli started being mentioned as a major contender to replace Hamilton, having been sent straight to Formula 2 off the back of winning the Formula Regional European crown. Considering the young Italian has collected titles at every turn on the junior scene, with Mercedes' excitement over his potential made clear by Wolff, many had expected him to blitz the competition in Formula 2 as well. But it was a slow start to the campaign with his first podium and win not arriving until the Silverstone sprint race. There, Antonelli shone in the rainy, treacherous conditions. But speaking with Autosport, he revealed that this performance came after he turned to Wolff following qualifying, in a tough time, and needing some guidance, which is exactly what Wolff provided. Asked if he took success in F2 for granted, considering that was widely expected of him from observers, Antonelli replied, "No, because I never expected to go straight into F2. When they informed me that this was the plan, I thought it would be a big jump because you usually go to F3 first, but at the same time, the challenge was immediately appealing to me. I didn't plan on coming to F2 and winning everything. I was always aware that the jump from Formula Regional would be very challenging, and I was aware that I had a lot to learn, which I am still doing." I am also very happy with the relationship I have with Wolf. In difficult moments, I ask him for advice, and he always looks for a way to give me confidence. I'll give you an example. After the disappointing qualifying in Silverstone, I called him because it was a bit of a tough time. We talked a lot, and that conversation gave me back my confidence, and the next day I won, and it was really nice to see him under the podium. When you go through difficult times, I think you come out stronger in the end, also in terms of attitude. Silverstone and Budapest confirmed it. As Antonelli alluded to, he would follow that Silverstone sprint win with his first feature race victory at the Hungaroring, as he looks to keep building momentum through the remaining rounds. It has been claimed, though, that at the next F2 destination, Monza, the home race of Antonelli, he will be announced as a Mercedes driver for F1 2025. Alongside F2, Antonelli has also completed multiple tests in Mercedes F1 machinery, and for any critics he may have, he warned he does not fear being judged. On the idea of being an F1 2025 rookie, Antonelli said, "Some degree of worry, I think, is always there. The prospect of not being able to perform, I think, frightens everyone. My approach is to see it as a great opportunity to learn, grow, and also enjoy the moment. I'm not afraid of being judged. I know Mercedes has a clear opinion about my potential. Already this season in F2, the championship didn't kick off in the best way, but there were no negative thoughts. I am quite calm. If the opportunity presented itself to me, I would take it with eagerness and try to make the most of it. Recently, there has been some pressure on me with all the rumors about next year, but I have always tried to enjoy it. I'm enjoying the opportunities I have." Antonelli received a further outing in Mercedes F1 machinery at Spa-Francorchamps following the Belgian Grand Prix weekend, as he took their 2022 Challenger, the W13, for a drive around the iconic venue. But in confirming that outing, Mercedes head of trackside engineering Andrew Shovlin also opened up on the headache that arranging such a test brings. It's difficult to find opportunities to run a TPC program because the F1 race calendar is so busy. We haven't got a whole separate team of people that can do that, Shovlin told media, including PlanetF1.com. That's one of the realities of the cost cap, is that you haven't got the test team that you used to have in years gone by, and Kimi is pretty busy with his F2 calendar, which, when you're in Europe, is quite a focus. We've got more events planned. We're doing a day with him here in Spa after the weekend. Antonelli sits P7 in the current F2 championship standings, with 4 rounds of the season remaining. Red Bull chief engineer Paul Monahan has detailed the improved pace from rival teams has triggered a reaction from the Milton Keynes-based squad. Despite a dominant start to the season, Red Bull has seen its performance advantage disappear, with McLaren now posing a threat in the championship fight. Mercedes has also returned to winning ways and has claimed victory at 3 of the last 4 races. In total, Red Bull has been beaten 7 times this season, surprising many who believed the Austrian outfit would go this season with the same level of dominance as it had in 2023. Monahan has been slightly surprised by how quickly Red Bull has been caught this season, and speaking in a joint interview involving Racing News 365 said, "I do remember seeing some comments to say that we won't be caught in 2024 or 2025. It wasn't quite true, was it? So, did it come slightly quicker? I think that's a personal view. Some people may say, oh, this should have taken longer. Personally, I was a little surprised at how quickly they were on us. But equally, it's not something we can influence. I can't change the speed of our nearest competitors. We can only change the speed of our car. It does draw a reaction from us, as you may have seen. We are changing the car, and we're prepared to do it as early as we can, as we have to." A disadvantage Red Bull has compared to McLaren and Mercedes is less aerodynamic testing time due to the sport's sliding scale. Teams receive aerodynamic testing time based on their finishing position in the constructors' standings. As Red Bull won the title last season, they received the least time in the wind tunnel for this year. Having more testing time is seen as an advantage by Monahan, although he points out that having longer to conduct research does not always trigger an improvement in performance. "I think that helps the others a little bit," added Monahan. "They get a little bit more testing and they find things. Maybe that helps them. I think the only way we could really do that would be to give ourselves some more aerodynamic testing time and take it off the others, and see how the relative pace of the cars evolve. It's a benefit to have more. It's whether you find more with it and then you realize it's the car is the next stage in the puzzle, isn't it? Having the research doesn't mean you're going to make your car faster. It gives you the opportunity to make it faster. So over the coming 10 races, we'll see." Aston Martin team principal Mike Crack has revealed the squad is set for a technical reset after a disappointing second quarter of the Formula One season. The Silverstone-based outfit failed to make a similar winter break kick forward to last season, where it briefly emerged as Red Bull's closest challenger on track, but remained one of the championship's top 5 teams on pace. But much like last term, Aston Martin has found itself slipping back in the pecking order in the continuous development race, and while it remains 5th in the standings, 4th-placed Mercedes is 193 points ahead at the summer break. Assessing the first half of the season exclusively with Autosport, Crack said, "I think when you look back, we started the season actually where we were thinking we were going to start the season. We had an expectation that we were around the 5th fastest team in race pace, and I think we confirmed that in the early races, with glimpses of maybe slightly better performance in qualifying. Then, when we started to develop the car, it just went in the wrong direction. We did not manage to add performance with the update, and the competition did. If you do not move forward, you get passed, and I think that's a fair summary of the first half." On whether there was a particular upgrade that contributed to the slide back, Crack replied, "No, when we look at our relative performance, we can identify Imola as one of the points because everybody brings upgrades to Imola. If yours is not delivering what you expect and the others do, which I do not know but I have to assume, you take a step backwards. That's the harsh reality of Formula One." Crack, who told Autosport that he felt the underperformance of rivals served to flatter Aston Martin last season and created a perception that it has fallen further back than is actually the case, has also conceded the pressure is building for the squad to deliver results. Owner Lawrence Stroll has invested vast amounts of money to improve the facilities with which the team has to work with, its state-of-the-art factory opening in stages. Asked how to move forward from Aston's mid-season slumber, Crack explained, "The most important thing is to understand why it didn't deliver what it was supposed to be delivering. The last 2 months, I have to say, has been really tough in terms of analysis because it is not like an instant discovery. What is the problem? It takes you a little bit of time to analyze this. Then you have to take action to change it. Then you have to make the parts. At the same time, there are 5, 6, 7, 8 races in that time where you just accumulate negative results. It leads to a very high expectation of what you are going to do and what it is going to fix. So, what we have decided is to take a little bit of a different approach, because it has not delivered what we expected it to deliver, but it is more like a little restart and building on that restart. Again, it's about managing expectations. A turnaround in such an intense season is not something that you do in 5 minutes. That is something that we all need to be aware of and be confident that the change of approach that we have taken now will bring the performance that we want to bring." Pressed on whether the reset would be technical or mental, he replied, "Obviously, you want to adjust the way you do things at the same time. But I would say it's rather a technical restart, or how you put the car there, how you approach the aerodynamic development, and then also understanding what is the process that has led us to this." Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.